All right, welcome into the Scouting the Fins, 3 yards per carry, final yard Dolphins postgame show here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn the notifications on. I'm Ethan Skolnick. I'll be here briefly, but you can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports. I got the two Erics with me, Double Eric Show. We got Eric Wiedeke. You can follow me at Eric Wiedeke. We've got OL Coach Smith 63. That's our guy, Eric Smith. The Miami Dolphins win again. This is now 3 straight wins. They're now 5-7 on the season. This was the soft underbelly of the schedule that they had to get to. They are getting wins. It's not necessarily pretty. This was a weird game, especially the finish of this game. We'll get into some of the calls that played into it. The Dolphins quarterback is not playing at a very high level right now. The head coach made some really questionable decisions on a couple of possessions, which I want to start with Eric Smith about, but also they won. They finished the game against a team that only had 2 wins, and they survived a weird call at the end of the game, an onside kick that I guess the officials ruled initially that it touched a Dolphin prior to the 10 yards, although there didn't seem to be a whole lot of evidence of that. And then they didn't overrule it because I guess there wasn't enough evidence to overrule it. And so Vele's recovery led to the ball being back in the hands of the Saints, but they couldn't break through. They were stopped, and at the end, a big play by Jordan Phillips, a young player on the defensive line, and they get the stop, they get the finish, and of course the other big play was Minkah Fitzpatrick's interception on a 2-point conversion, which he took all the way the other way, which ended up mattering a lot. Yeah. I don't know what you want to say about butterfly effect, but it put them up 4 points instead of 2, and that mattered. But let's go to this. I'll go to you, Coach. Should this have been so difficult? I feel like Mike got in his own head again. Am I overplaying this? I mean, the quarterback was awful all day. Why were they throwing 3 straight plays on one possession? Next possession, Ollie Gordon Jr., I don't know where he was dancing, or Ollie Gordon III, I don't know where he was dancing to, but he certainly wasn't hitting the hole on that 4th down. What happened on those 2 possessions? Because I feel like they should have iced this thing earlier.
Yeah, it should not have been this close, especially with the way the Dolphins started this game. Even going back to the decision not to even try for a field goal there at the end of the half, which could have made a big difference there at the end of the game, was very questionable. But you go back to the series where they threw those 3 passes down near the goal line, and to me, it felt like Mike kind of was frustrated with the one that was incomplete to Darren Waller in the back of the end zone. Right, good play call, had the open receiver. And it felt like rather than just going back to what was working on play 2 and running the ball, trying to set up a more third and manageable, instead you throw it again, and then you're on that in that 3rd and long scenario, and then you get those 3 straight passes, and then the Ollie Gordon short yardage run, like that is a big time rookie mistake. Like he has a very niche role in this offense right now. He is the short yardage physical runner, and for whatever reason he saw a bunch of space to the left and took that opportunity to try to be Devon Achane and beat somebody to the edge. When you go back and you watch that replay, like he completely stops and goes parallel to the 45-yard line. Like you got to be able to stay forward with that. And I know that there wasn't a clear hole there, but big physical running back, like that's where you earn your money in those situations. He's got to be able to finish that. But I mean, overall, it just feels like a coach that does not trust his quarterback. And I don't know whether that sequence down near the goal line was him trying to build a little bit of trust there with it. That relationship is very interesting right now. And I agree completely on the onside kick that, the Saints went in their favor on that one. It was the call stands, right? So they couldn't find evidence that the Dolphins didn't touch the ball. One of those would have stood either way, but you go back to the incomplete pass, it probably should have been ruled an interception. The Dolphins got away with one there. So, it kind of balances out, and I don't know how Olave missed that touchdown catch at the end that would have won the game for them. So just a crazy game all around.
Oh, Ethan, you're muted.
You're muted, Ethan.
Common mistake. We'll get to 2 in a second. But before we do, this is part of it. We say he doesn't trust the quarterback. but then he threw three straight times when Etienne was on his way to basically a 150-yard game. And then he takes Etienne out, and then Gordon tries to be him on that possession. And I'm just wondering, why not just play your best player all the time? Lean on your best player all the time. I mean, I understand it's short yardage. I get it there. I don't get the throwing three straight times with Tua on the prior possession. I just think this is another case of just getting too cute and making things too complicated, isn't it?
It is, and on top of that, I think getting lost in all this, they kind of really butchered the last possession at the end of the first half. I mean, to have the ball with 31 seconds a timeout, or with a minute a timeout and 30 seconds at the Saints 31, and to pretty much gain no yards in that same time frame and have to settle for 3, is just a brutal lack of execution. But I think even beyond Mike McDaniel, and he was pretty bad today. I just don't know what the Dolphins do with the quarterback at this point. But I guess just getting back to it just one last time. The thing with Mike McDaniel is it just feels like he lacks conviction in everything that he does, because he trusts his quarterback and then he doesn't. And then he wants to go, all in with feeding Achane all the time. And then he doesn't. And it's just, they spoke about a quote that he had over the bye week where he said, get to the facts, figure out what we're good at, and double down on it. Well, he had the opportunity to do that with Achane, and he just didn't today. Now, to be super fair to Ollie Gordon, I don't think it's a guarantee he gets that yard on 4th and 1, given the way that play looked. But he has a much better chance if he just runs into the line there with as big and strong as he is. It's just, it feels like this is a win kind of in air quotes today. I gotta be really honest with you, just as brutally honest as possible. By the end of the game, I didn't know if I wanted. I don't know if I wanted it to win. I kind of just wanted it to be over. I wanted to be out of my misery.
I'm with you, and I feel like a lot of Dolphin fans are there. I don't think there's anything that's happened in this run that has made you believe that they can go to another level, and that again comes back to the quarterback. And I'm off the train. I've been on the train for a while. He's not the same guy. The accuracy is just not there. The one time he did run, he fell a little short picking up, which has led to the Gordon play. After that, there's just nothing he's exceptionally good at anymore, and there used to be. And that's where I'm at with it, Coach. Like, that's the part I don't blame McDaniel about, because I don't know. I don't know how he keeps going with him, but he has no other choice. Getting Waller back was helpful, I thought. Gives him one big target. Waddle was not as involved stretches. And I don't know. I don't know where he goes. I mean, I'm not expecting him to dial it up and have a 330-yard game on 75% completions. And in the past, I think you could expect that at times. Now you don't. You're like, can you get out of this with 150 to 175 and please limit it to one pick? I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got to kind of have some sort of superpower to be a top end quarterback, and that doesn't have to always be the same thing. It doesn't have to be the escaping the pocket, escaping sacks, throw it 60 yards down the field. For a while there, it was the pre-snap diagnosis. It was finding that open receiver. It was hitting that receiver in stride and picking up those big time yards after catch plays. But that's not what Tua is anymore. And I don't know why. I have no idea what the difference is. But like you said, Ethan, this is not the same player that the three of us here watched in the past and we defended him. Right? There's no defending what Tua is right now. Right? You saw the limitations on that run where he's sliding before the first down because he's concerned about contact in a key situation, right? This wasn't they're up multiple scores or down multiple scores and you just don't want to take a big hit. This is sliding in a key situation where that extra yard or two makes a massive difference. And the accuracy is not there. We saw him miss on the Waller, should have been a touchdown. There was another one, that we've talked about them going to the screen game heavy. There was a clear touchdown to Achane on one of those Texas routes where he's coming back underneath the lineman that he misses again. Like it's just simple stuff like that he's not on the mark with anymore. And the trust side of it in the past, we've seen Mike McDaniel with 30 seconds on the clock, 0 timeouts, willing to just go out there and let him sling it and see if we can get into position to make a play. And now, like Eric said, we're a minute and a half left in the second quarter in I believe it was a 2-score game, right? 16 points at that point. And you run the ball, you take a timeout, and then you run the ball again and just let the clock run out like that. That's crazy. The effort that we saw today, doesn't beat many teams in the NFL, and they're lucky it beat the Saints. Especially coming off a bye like that. That's disappointing to see that coming off of a bye, right? If you are a good team and you have 2 weeks to prepare for a bad team, like there's no room for a trap game for anybody. But you're coming off of a bye. That this should not have been nearly as competitive of a game as it was, and it's false hope, right? It's 4 out of 5. And you got the Jets, so maybe it's 5 out of 6. But then what happens, right? You get to the Steelers, you don't know what they are. I don't know. It doesn't do much to make me feel optimistic about what's left this season.
It also makes you frustrated about things that happened earlier in the season, too, because maybe it might have mattered, but it probably doesn't. This feels a little like Saban's first year, 3-7 to 9-7. It feels like Flores' 1 year where they made that late run. I will say this. Thank you for the plays today, Eric. I'm all green here. This is all green, and one of those greens is Tua's under on attempts, a little less. 23 under 30. They don't trust him. You're right. But thank you for the others. Shadur Sanders going over on his yards, and Darren Waller more on his receiving yards. Got to get you in this, coach. Anyway, we've so this was a big day for us in this regard. But yeah, look, they don't trust him. It's clear. I'm thinking back to the guy who was lighting it up against the Chargers in the season opener, or the comeback against the Ravens in the fourth quarter. Like that guy's gone. I don't see him anymore. And I know that there's those who were anti-Tua from the beginning are like, see, and I'm like, but it's not the same person. It's like saying that a significant other is crazy. She wasn't at the beginning. Okay. She is now. That's kind of where we're at with this. And I don't really know. I don't know what they do. I don't like, there's no elixir to this, right? Like the offensive, I know you'll break down the grades, coach. I didn't think the offensive line was hugely problematic today in that regard, right? Like, I know you want to dig into the tape, but still, it didn't seem to me like that was the major issue today.
No, I don't think so. It felt like definitely the return of Austin Jackson. You saw them doing some things off the right side of the line they really weren't doing before. Some of the play calls, some of the schemes that they had stayed away from with Borum in the lineup, they kind of returned to. A lot of the passing game, like the protection was pretty good. Most of those sacks were either holding onto the ball. I know the first one they're running a play action to the right, have Alec Ingold on their defensive end, and Tua hangs onto the ball. You can't do that. So no, I don't expect the line to grade out of this world for this game, but I also don't think they're going to be. I expect kind of middle of the pack grade for this week.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, I hate to say it, but just to continue to pour on, but a few of those sacks are coming from free rushers that kind of need to be identified pre-snap. That's, again, the quarterback has to get the protection set. And I just, like you said, Ethan, I don't know what Tua's doing particularly well at the position right now, because he's not diagnosing pre-snap. He's certainly not diagnosing post-snap, because he's deciding he wants to throw the ball to Waddle 35 yards downfield into double coverage. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I just, problem is, spent money is burned money. They've got to figure out a way out of this. This is not a guy. The weirdest part of this, right? Look, they could beat the Jets, and they could catch the Steelers on a bad day, and they could be 7-7. And right, and this is the ultimate Dolphins experience. Like, somehow end up, they'll be in the hunt with a 3% chance with 2 weeks left, something along those lines, and then not get over the finish line, and then it'll be look at the way we battled. I've seen this so many different times, and you're picking middle of the first round again, and shoot me. I mean, really, that's where we're at. I mean, I guess let's go to this, okay? Give me 3 players. You each can do this, okay? Give me 3 players that you're excited about on this team. 3 players whose development this season has given you some hope that they can be core players. Coach, start here, because that to me, if you're not getting that, then the wins don't mean anything, right?
I mean, are you talking about new players? I mean, like, Devon Achane is clearly
he's
still
an
a
elite
building
guy,
block, right?
but we kind of knew he had the potential to be a blue chip
Yeah.
guy, right? So okay, and the same with Waddle, right? And so I mean, I guess beyond them, like, are there 3 guys on this team that you're like, okay, you can go into training camp next year, and there's something that you can ride into that, okay, with 3 players. Is there anybody who's popped to you at all?
I would say, yeah, but they're not going to be players that are going to excite anybody. They're not going to be big needle movers. The 3 that would stand out to me right now, Patrick Paul has been a lot better than people expected. Kenneth Grant is rounding into shape as that 13th overall pick, and Jordan Phillips has been having a really good season for a 5th round rookie. But again, those were all guys in the trenches. We're not seeing the secondary players or the skill players, those guys developing the way that we would like to.
Before I go to Eric on this, like, if you look at their secondary, for instance, like Rasul Douglas seems to be a difference maker for them when he plays. Is that somebody you would keep around? I mean, we saw Jack Jones. We've seen various guys. I mean, is there anybody that makes you think, okay, we don't have to draft a player at this position now? Is there anyone else in the skill spots that makes you feel that? Has Malik Washington made you feel that way? Right? I mean, what are we talking? Is there anybody? Any young passer? I mean, Chop, I guess, but first round pick.
And even then, I mean, he's been extremely up and down to this point. I think you have every reason to believe that he would bounce back next season, but it's far from a guarantee. As far as your cornerback room goes, I think you might be in a decent spot if you come back with, let's say Jack Jones, Jason Marshall, Juju Brents, and Kader Kohu. But I would still want to add to that. Because Cater's going to be coming off injury. Juju Brents has had an injury-plagued career. I don't see a single spot right now where I'm like, we could go without adding to that. I mean, maybe by default, linebacker, because you feel okay about where you are with those guys there. But I mean, they're not going to stick around forever. That's the problem. Is a lot of your best players on this defense right now are 28 and older. You're looking at Zach Sealer, Bradley Chubb, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Rasul Douglas. All those guys, if you're gonna be bad for a couple of years, aren't really gonna do you any good.
Well, Jordan Brooks. How old is Jordan Brooks? Where is he?
I think he's 20. I think he's 26. I think he's
a little younger, and obviously he's made some plays for them this year. But that's my question, is like, then the 7-7 to ultimately get to 8-9 and finish a game or 2 out of the postseason. Like, okay, but like, do you have anything you can go into the offseason with and feel good about? And we don't even know who's going to be running the show, by the way. We're not sure of that. Although it's weird to me that I could see Ross making a decision to keep some in the personnel department because of a run that happened after Greer was fired that none of these people probably had anything to do with, because they're not making moves. All they did was, I mean, Phillips was traded, but that's it. I mean, it's not like there are any moves to really be made at this stage, right? So, like, this just feels like the ultimate false hope scenario. Like, Mike's going to keep his job for better or worse. They're going to keep the people in place to make the personnel decisions, all because of a run against bad teams with a quarterback that they can't trust, with not enough good young players to really feel like this is moving somewhere. I just so that they can be 7-10 or 8-9 again next season. Am I too pessimistic here, Eric?
So no. But I will offer what I think, let's say the Dolphins end 8-9, 9-8, whatever, 7-10, any of those records that are just outside the playoffs. I think Mike McDaniel is going to go into Stephen Ross's office when it's time to do the exit interviews, and he is going to pitch Stephen Ross that this team is a quarterback away.
Mhm.
I genuinely think that's what he's going to do. And it's a matter of if you believe that. Personally, I don't, because I do think even what we've seen out of the defense, you kind of have to take into account the teams that you've played over this
Right.
time frame. You know, you played the Falcons, who have proven to be, oh my god, levels of bad. They just lost to the Jets today.
Yeah.
You played the Saints. You played Washington with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. You know, a lot of that stuff also needs to be taken into account here too. There's still just way too much work to be done with this team. And I think if I'm making the decision, I don't bring Mike McDaniel back if for no other reason than he was the Tua fixer.
Yeah.
And Tua is
Tua
not.
ain't fixed. No, he's gone backwards. And I don't know, again, if that's health related or something else that Mike can't fix, but feels like, so I mean, it just feels to me, coach, like they're the best of the bottom feeders right now. Like that's kind of where they're at. I don't know how Mike goes in and sells that, but we know that Ross is not prone to wanting to do a coaching change right now, right? I mean, his age with the way the organization is structured. And I that press release is going to hit, man. Like if they go from 2-7 to 8-9, so they've won 6 of their last 8. That press release is the progress that our team showed at the end of the game, at the end of the season, rallying around their head coach, gives us optimism for the future. Signed Stephen Ross, chairman and CEO, Miami Dolphins. That's going to be a press release in week 17. It feels like, right? How are we going to feel about that press release?
I think that depends on what happens between now and the end of the season. Kind of like you said earlier, Ethan, about those games earlier in the season really impacting the way that you feel now. If they had won some of those games earlier in the season, and then we get to this game and they squeak out a victory against the Saints, and you're like, okay, this is the way that good teams win, right? They have bad days and they still find ways to win, right? You can defend that. If they continue to play this way and they do squeak out to that 8-9 record, and they come back and they say they're gonna, bring pretty much everybody back, that's going to be really disappointing, because the issues that we're seeing, right, the issues that we had in this game in terms of clock management, play calling, all that stuff is the same stuff that we have been expecting growth the last 3-4 years under Mike McDaniel. Like that just seems to be a conversation that we keep having over and over again, that we knew that Mike McDaniel was a first-time play caller, a first-time head coach. There was going to be growing pains going into that. And you can excuse that in years 1 and 2 as he's learning how to handle all of this. But we're halfway through year 4 and we're still sitting here questioning the on-field decisions, right? It's not even really the personnel. If we were sitting here and the issue was just that, and I do feel like I think there's a decent core that you could build on. If you were a quarterback, if you had a better quarterback, then I think that you would be in a much better position right now. I think that's a major issue on the team right now. But the issues that we're seeing are not just related to the quarterback, right? It's the play calling, it's the timeouts, it's the McDaniel's record on challenges is abysmal. Just operational things like that are just continuing to be bad, right? And what have we seen this year with all of that stuff to think that year 5 is going to be better? And to your point, Ethan, if he goes in there and his pitch to Ross is that we're a quarterback away, this was essentially the quarterback that he chose, right? He went out and he pushed to have that contract, right? He wanted this quarterback. So if his pitch is that this isn't the right quarterback, then why are we going to trust him to pick the next quarterback? So I don't like, because what's your ceiling for quarterback next year? Like, are you going to go out and you're going to get a Mac Jones and that's your quarterback for next year, and then you go 9-10 wins again next year, and you're drafting right in the 20s? Like, at what point are you going to get a quarterback in all of this? So I don't know. It would be very disappointing if we see this same type of performance. We don't see a dramatic improvement over the last, was it 5-6 games of the season, 5 games left, and they just say we're going to run it back like that. That's going to be tough to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that if Mike has made any progress in some of these areas, it's hard to tell because the quarterback is not the same one that he had before, and that's the problem. Like if he was making better decisions when the quarterback was playing at a high level, they had a chance to do something. They don't have a chance to do anything now with the quarterback where he's at. And like you said, the most important decision that he's had to make is the quarterback, and he almost, you're creating a scenario now where he has to go in and argue against the guy that he picked. You're right. And also against the guy that he's going to have to work with most likely in some scenarios. So the quarterback's going to know that Mike tried to, if he does this, I'm not saying he will, but this would be what most coaches do, try to save your job and say, well, listen, I don't have the guy I thought I had. He's not the same guy. He's not healthy anymore. Tua may dispute that. And then you've created even more of a schism in terms of your most important relationship, which is quarterback and coach, and that never works. So that's kind of where we're at. All right, Eric, I'll let you take it home today. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Scouting the Fins, always check that out during the week. Great work that these guys do. 3 yards per carry, of course, that crew too. Following Simon during Dolphin games is quite a treat. Follow him at Cy Clancy and sign up for Prize Picks. Use the code FIVE and put down your 5. You get 50 to play, and you can win like I won 5 of 6 cards today. Thank you very much, Eric, for the one you gave me. What do you? I'm gonna go buy dinner. What's your final thought today? Take us home.
Yeah, I mean, my final thought today, and I do want to wrap it up with just the idea that number one, this felt very eerily similar to me to the Carolina game where you went to the half up 17-0 and you ended up losing. I thought that was exactly what we were headed for again. The second thing is we've talked a lot about the offense today. I don't think the defense should be left off the hook given the way that they played in the second half. The pass rush was non-existent in the second half. You know, you got a bunch of sacks on Tyler Shuck early in the game, disappeared down the stretch. But this is a team that I guess if you want to sum it up in over the last 4 or 5 weeks, they have limped their way to 4 out of 5.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they have. It's not been pretty to watch their wins, but it's been 3 decades of empty wins. That's the thing when it doesn't really matter anymore. But we'll see. I mean, look, if they beat the Steelers, people will get excited for a week. That's the thing. Like to beat the Jets, it's a rivalry game. Beat the Steelers 7-7. You know, I just want to be 6-7 next week so my daughter can say 6-7 again. Anyway, Eric, appreciate it. Again, check out Alfredo, CK, and Simon on the 3 yards per carry feed as well. That episode will get up here, I'm sure, as we go forward. Also, check out all the coverage. Inter Miami is in the final. So check that out. Our Messi and Company crew has that, and the Heat are 13-7. So plenty of coverage there on the channel as well. Have a good one, everybody.